And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Yankees and Gravy. Thank you for joining us. We're broadcasting live, actually not too live, but almost live, from Johnny Utah's in Rockefeller Center in the heart of New York City. Today's show is about a little bit of a loser's row panel here. None of us are proud of our baseball teams at this particular time. I have my friend to my left, actor. His name is Stu. You may have seen him in Saturday Night Live. He's been on The Bachelorette, I should say. Another actor to my right actually is operating the bull here at Johnny Utah's. His name is Matt. Stu to my left is a diehard Phillies fan. We're happy to have him here today.
It's nice to have you guys here to commiserate with.
Exactly. And to my right, we have Matt, who is, I don't even
I'll do it.
He's a Red Sox fan. And I do apologize to all our viewers out there for having a Red Sox and a Phillies guy on the show. But I think that for this one day, for these purposes, we can kind of come together and revel in each other's misery.
Yeah.
Basically, what I want to do is kind of go into the Yankee loss and what that meant on an emotional standpoint. This is an emotional show, guys. We're going to have plenty of shows on Yankees and Gravy that deal with facts, opinions, lists, stories, this and that, guests. This show is pure emotion. As a card-carrying New York Yankee fan, I believe it is my birthright to expect to win a World Series every single year we play. I don't care what you're thinking out there in Pittsburgh or what you're thinking in Kansas City. I know, you know what? You should be happy. $200 million payroll. You guys are in it every year. Screw you. I don't care. I'm a Yankee fan. I'm a New Yorker. We should win it every year. And that's kind of how I feel. And this last loss for me, and I'll let you guys kind of jump in a second, but it was a tough one for me, honestly. I think most Yankee fans feel it was a tough one. This year, I saw a lot of, I kind of like look into this stuff, and I saw like there was a lot of irrational stuff being said that just kind of reflects like a lot of the emotion and the wind that was taking out of Yankee fan this year. It was just tough. It was very, very tough. It reminded me a lot of 2006. And that was a year where the similarities drawn were that we were playing the Tigers as well. There was a rain delay that kind of threw the whole beginning of the series out of whack. And even though we did put up a little bit more of a fight this year, it ultimately ended with our bats tightening up, us being tense, and our superstars. I was about to say superstars. That probably would have fit better, but our superstars basically choked.
Which is nothing new for A-Rod in the playoffs. You should at this point learn to expect at least of that.
I was going to say, speaking of irrational, Tom said that some irrational things were said. I do remember a conversation that me and Tom had about a week ago where he said Alex Rodriguez is the greatest player of all time. That's irrational.
I knew you were going to bring this
up. That's irrational.
Absolutely ridiculous.
That is a ridiculous, irrational statement.
This is where it gets bad, guys, because honestly, yes, I know as Yankee fans, we're all broken up about A-Rod. We all hate A-Rod right now. But you know what? That's like the brother and sister thing where you can beat up your own brother, but if somebody on the outside goes to beat up your own brother, it's not going to happen. Guys, I'm going to get killed a little bit for what I'm going to say. But guys, I actually felt a little bad for A-Rod at the end of that game, honestly, because you know what? There's so much going on in this whack job's head. You think he's really trying to fail when he goes up there?
No.
When he drives home in his Ferrari, I don't feel bad.
I would never say that he's trying to fail at all. I think he's just plain and simple, he is not a clutch player. Now,
right.
You can hate him for that or you can feel bad for him. He's just not clutch. He's not ever going to be a Jeter.
Game on the line. Who do you want us to play, Jeter or A-Rod?
What am I going to say to you when you say he's not a clutch player? What am I going to rebut that with?
You're going to say neither is Ryan Howard.
I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say 2009, we had no chance of winning the World Series without A-Rod putting us on his back. Again, I'm not here to defend A-Rod. I was cursing him out just as loudly as everybody else was. But honestly, he doesn't have the makeup. You can't get mad at him on a personal level because he doesn't have – we'll get into that a little bit more, the difference
He's consistently 1 for 17, 1 for 18, 2 for 19 in the playoffs.
And I'm going to answer your question before, and you said game on the line. Who would you rather have to play, A-Rod or Jeter?
No question.
Well, that's a no question.
Yeah.
How about who would you rather have to play, Posada or A-Rod? And I'll take Posada
I'll take Posada, too.
In that last series, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer in that last series. You'd rather have Posada. Let's throw it over to Matt right now. Matt, I know you are a diehard Red Sox fan.
Sorry about that.
And it's what a difference a half a year makes. So what a difference a baseball season makes. Because in the beginning, in the spring, we were sitting here talking about the Yankees being the underdogs, being the guys who were kind of like the scrappy team. You heard them saying, Cashman saying stuff like, we're going to embrace this role as underdogs. Red Sox were stacked at the beginning of the year, pitching 1 through 5, 1 through 4, at least 4,
Right.
probably 5 as well. Getting Alex Gonzalez. You guys were stacked. How did you guys basically? And let's not even talk about the collapse yet. Let's talk about you guys finishing second place to the world's greatest franchise, the New York Baseball Yankees.
Third place. Devil race.
Third place, you're right. Yeah. My mistake. But what I'm saying is behind the New York Yankees. Basically, we beat you guys. And it's like a pattern. You guys seem to shut us down before the All-Star break. Then the All-Star break hits, and you guys can't play with us. What's your overall thoughts? And talk about your disappointment, first of all, on just the overall season you had before the collapse.
It's terribly disappointing, because when you think about the Red Sox, they started off the season something like 2-14, they started off very, very slow, which you can get away with starting slow when you have 162 games. But like you said, the team was stacked. We got Adrian Gonzalez, we got Carl Crawford. Dice Case sucks, but he was the fifth guy. You're still getting innings out of Wakefield. Lester, Buchholz ends up getting hurt, but you have Beckett. Lackey has been a huge disappointment, but you didn't know all that at the beginning of the year. You thought that this was going to be the year. They got all these great pieces to the puzzle, and like you said, they just after the All-Star break, they slowly started to shit the bed, and it was a colossal disappointment. Francona, I know you don't want me to get too much into the collapse, but to me, that's where it all happens, because if you don't mention the last month of the season and you don't mention the first month of the season, the Red Sox were something like 80-40. They were just mowing people down.
Well, no. You know what? Get into the collapse a little bit, because
you're not blaming Francona for that.
Absolutely not. But what I'm going to say is what I feel happened is something that Francona said in a press conference, where he said that the guys in this locker room just don't seem to care. And I read an article yesterday that said during the games that Beckett, Lackey, and Lester weren't pitching. They were drinking in the locker room. They were playing video games. And I know that Francona said to them on more than one occasion, "Guys, get your ass in the dugout." And they ignored the guy. You ignore your coach. And, they probably have this mentality like, fuck you, I'm making $20 million a year, you're making less than me, I'm the star of this team, I'll do what I want, go manage, and then it just trickles down, and then the whole team implodes.
As we know, we're at the world-famous Johnny Utah's in Rockefeller Center, and believe it or not, we were kind of ground zero for a lot of that stuff that went on. I was actually on vacation when it happened. Stu was here, and believe it or not, who came in?
I can tell you, it's actually, I had a chuckle to myself yesterday when that news came out in Boston about Beckett, Lackey, and Lester being the guys that drink in the clubhouse and eat fried chicken, because on a regular basis, whenever they're in town playing the Yankees, they're doing that exact same thing right here in this room.
In this room.
The Earp
room at Johnny Utah.
I met Josh Beckett.
They come straight from Yankee Stadium to here, buckets of Bud Light, food, with games the next day. So when that stuff came out yesterday, it's not really that shocking to me. And any time that a team is going to collapse like you guys did in September, if you have talented players and you're gonna lose 20 of your last 29 games or whatever it was, that's a question of leadership in the clubhouse. There's someone in there where there's a cancer. I think the natural, losing is a disease. And if you don't have someone in the clubhouse that's going to be the voice and stand up and take these guys by the neck and say, "What the fuck are we doing here, guys?"
Right. And I don't think they had that. And
they didn't become untalented overnight.
Well, what I know is last year, people were throwing Jacoby Ellsbury under the bus. Kevin Youkilis was saying, he could play through the injuries. Ellsbury had a bad year last year. This year, he comes back as a legitimate MVP type season. Yeah. And from what I hear, he talks to one guy in that clubhouse, Jed Lowry, does not get along with the rest of his teammates. How can you have a cohesive
That's a similar situation
162 games and not get along with your guys?
That's a similar situation that it seems like a trend with the Red Sox. Remember, Garcia Pardo was totally alienated. On those idiot days.
They got rid of him. Yeah.
It worked out then. This year it didn't work out. Who knows? I want to ask you, what else? And this is fear here. We don't want to out people too much, but something did go down. There was a little bit of a controversial situation. Jabba Chamberlain came in, and it was a little uneasy from what I heard when him and Beckett met each other in this very room as well.
There was definitely some bad blood. I get, Beckett and Lester and Lackey had camped out in here. Jabba came in afterwards, and he was definitely uneasy about entering this room. There was definitely some bad blood, some unfinished